Well, 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 look at you, my fine folks, tuning in for another dose of trucking truth serum with your old pal, the guy who traded a corner office for a steering wheel bigger than his ego. That's right, your former corporate bigwig turned road warrior, slinging freight for Cheeseman since November 2020. Not some rookie who signed on last Tuesday and thinks he's the Dalai Lama of trucking, but a guy with miles under his belt and sarcasm in his soul. Welcome to the show where Dr. Phil meets Jerry Springer with a touch of diesel fumes and no paternity tests. Now let's get real for a second. You're out there, scrolling YouTube, drooling over these trucking videos where some guy brags about a fat paycheck like he's printing money in his sleeper cab. Ooh, look at me. I made $1 gazillion last week hauling frozen unicorn steaks cross country. But what about the weeks you went home? You know, those pesky weeks where you hugged your kids, kissed your spouse, or just stared at your dog wondering if he's judging your life choices. Those weeks count too. They're not just freebies you erase from the calendar like a bad Tinder date. See, here's the deal. I'm not going to cherry pick the weeks where I'm raking in the big bucks and pretend that's the whole story. That's like saying you're a marathon runner because you jogged to the fridge once. Nah, we're doing this the honest way. I take my total pay year to date, divide it by the actual weeks that have passed, home time included, and that's the real number, the average, the truth. Because everybody's got to go home sometime, unless you're planning to live in your truck like a nomadic philosopher with an internet connection. So, check this out. This is the numbers for week 30 of the payroll year. The year-to-date numbers are my year-to-date pay, broken down to the nitty-gritty average. Not just the I hauled 3,000 miles and slept in a parking lot weeks, but the I went home and binge-watched bad reality TV weeks, too. This is what driving for Cheeseman looks like when you're real about it. No smoke, no mirrors, just a guy who used to wear ties and now wears Ray-Bans, telling it like it is. So stick around. I'm going to dive into this week's pay, my logs, and how much I miss my couch. And if you're thinking about driving for Cheeseman, tell them I sent you. They'll know who I am. I'm the guy who makes spreadsheets and sarcasm a way of life. First, we'll talk about my logs for the week. I was paid for 3,563 dispatched miles. I had 2,998 logged miles. The day in orange, I was on a paid 34-hour reset. Let's look at my unedited pay statement for period 30 of 2025. This includes all trips from July 13th to July 19th. Securement paid $58. A 34-hour reset paid $100. Loaded miles paid $2,320, and stops paid $195. Total earnings for this week was $2,672. 30 weeks into the year, my gross income is $68,604, and my total miles is 86,834. That averages out to $2,287 per week and 2,894 miles. Estimated out over 52 weeks, my estimated annual is $118,914. Year-to-date numbers as of week 30 of 2025, I've been paid for 86,834 miles, covering 32 states, making 214 stops. 94% of those miles have been loaded, averaging 79 cents per mile. Here's the home time that I've taken this payroll year through the end of the 30th week. I have been on home time 17 times so far, totaling 44.3 days. I also have 5 overnight breaks at the house and 13 paid 34-hour resets on the road. I am not paid hourly, but let's calculate like an hourly job. For the week, my gross pay was $2,673 for 65 hours of work. If we break it down into a typical hourly job, it could be 40 regular hours and 25 hours of overtime, resulting in an effective pay rate of $34.69 per hour. For the year, my gross pay so far is $68,604 for 1,765 hours of work. If we break it down into a typical hourly job, it could be 1,169 regular hours and 596 hours of overtime, resulting in an effective pay rate of $33.26 per hour. Taking a look at the if-only truck drivers were paid for every hour in the truck calculation page. 30 weeks have gone by so far that totals 5,040 hours. I have been at home 1,062 of those hours. That works out to 3,978 hours from the pre-trip leaving home to the post-trip returning home. My compensation through week 30 is $68,604. That works out to $17.25 per hour away from home. As always, make sure you are enjoying every day at work.